Hello, everybody. I'm Kipp Snow. I'm the director of the Transportation Distribution Logistics Institute at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Hey, everyone. I'm Mike Singer, community manager, Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. So we're a local organization that does whatever we can to help promote whatever is happening here at the Port of Baltimore. And we just started out as a Facebook group.
You don't want to say advocacy today?
No, I am skipping right over that this week because every week I mess it up. If this thing is in front of me, I mess it up. All week I can say it, I'm fine. So I'm just skipping right over that.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we started as a Facebook group and just kind of paying attention to everything that's going on with the port. And so now we paired with Kipp Snow here and we have a podcast. So theoretically, a timely way of getting information out to folks on another platform. Except this week we recorded one on Sunday, and now here it is. We're recording one midday Thursday.
Yeah. So do we need to address the elephant in the room or the background?
Yeah, that's nice.
But we're coming at you from the recording studios here on the Dundalk campus of Community College of Baltimore County today. So I've got some vacation time coming up. So we wanted to make sure that we got the podcast in before vacation. So.
Yep. Sounds good.
Any shipping updates? Any ships coming in?
Well, yeah, there's always stuff happening. But wanted to talk about maybe some other, maybe some other points. So I just, I'm always hitting on this containers that are not back up to, pre-bridge accident levels. And so I just took a look at the schedule from the past month, and I counted 15 days where there was only one or no ships at Seagirt. So Seagirt is the container ship terminal. All the container ships go to Seagirt. And they have a public schedule that's on our website that anybody can go look at. And so I just thought that was an interesting metric, that you can picture. 15 days, so more than half the month, because I'm just talking about weekdays. Right. So there's approximately 20 weekdays in a month.
So it's a good average ballpark number.
About 4 weeks, in a month. And so 15 days, so 3/4 of that where there was either only one or no ships in. And others might point out that the moves or container moves per ship is also down. But I'm kind of thinking of it as, let's get the ships back in. And some ships are only coming in with 30 or maybe 70 moves when we're used to 500, 1,500 moves on the bigger ships. So it'd be, it's great. Let's get the ships coming back in, and then hopefully they'll have more and more containers on them for the people that work at the terminal to move around.
There was an NPR article where Jonathan Daniels was interviewed. I think it aired yesterday, and he made a statement that this lower volume is going to kind of slowly improve, but we won't see the full the port back to full capacity probably until the first quarter of 2025.
Yeah.
And then in that report, he goes and explains a little bit more about some of the contractual agreements and some of the temporary contractual agreements and some of the verbal agreements of, hey, look, this is a temporary solution. We want you to honor your existing contracts. Bring your freight back to us. There's a reason why you came to us in the first place. Let's remember that and come on back, because we've got a workforce that's ready to go at full capacity. So that was I thought that was, kind of puts into that same perspective of what we've been talking about. Yes, the volumes are not there, and there's some reasonings, and we all have to kind of be patient. And that was the kind of the word, or the phrase that he kept saying is, yes, we still have to be patient, but everybody within the supply chain has to go and make those adjustments. So.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I guess I was hoping for something a bit more encouraging than that.
Sure.
But when he was saying that, one little thing that I picked out, he said, so there was a reason why you were here. And then he said that, and we've talked about this before, that 70% of all inbound containers to Baltimore, through the port of Baltimore, are used within 70 miles of the port.
Yeah.
So, i.e., if you're shipping things to another port that you were shipping to here, then somebody's spending an awful lot of money trucking them to get them back within 70 miles of this port.
Correct.
Which is, an interesting thought. I thought that was an interesting way of showing to people what the inconvenience is about things going to a different port instead of coming here. It's a little bit more than just that. So let's continue on our Ready Reserve ship updates.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Denobola finally left the pier at North Locust Point at 10:30 this morning. So I think she was supposed to leave last week, and then it was supposed to be like 8 o'clock this morning, and so she's headed out. And then we're supposed to, they're leaving for good, supposedly, those two ships, and we're supposed to get different ships in. When or which ships, I have no idea.
I tried to look this up a little bit before we started with this recording.
Mm-hmm.
And MARAD is, I think MARAD's, pretty open as far as, the information about the Ready Reserve fleet, and some of the statistics and information about the fleet that they publish on their public website. But I also found kind of some information that may help explain what this group of ships are and what their purpose is. So I got a narrative off of their website that explains it. I'll read it real quick. The Ready Reserve Force is a subset of vessels within MARAD's National Defense Reserve Fleet. And so they are ready to support rapid worldwide deployment of the U.S. military forces. So as a key element of the Department of Defense Strategic Sea Lift, the Ready Reserve Fleet primarily supports transport of Army and military corps unit equipment, combat support equipment, and initial resupply during critical surge periods. This is the period of time before commercial ships can be secured for similar support. So in military time efforts, they have the Ready Reserve Fleet ready to go to help support that in case they can't go and use or contract out to the commercial operators also to help with that freight movement.
Mm-hmm.
So the Ready Reserve Fleet provides nearly 50% of government-owned surge sea lift capacity, and has rightfully been called America's sea power reliant partner. So that's what their purpose is.
Right.
So the Ready Reserve Fleet handles a lot of those military and freight movements, but sometimes the ships are put into very special situations or for special projects.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2014, the Cape Ray was used and transferred over to the Middle East to process chemical weapons that were found in Syria. And so, as part of that campaign during the 2014 time period, we found some of those toxic chemicals, and they were actually processed. The chemicals were put through a temporary chemical processing center that was built on the Cape Ray, remove those chemical agents to make them not poisonous anymore, in order to be able to destroy and remove the full chemical. So sometimes those ships are used in very specialized operations.
Wow, that's interesting. So did they remove them?
Yeah, so
And take them with them on the ship?
The chemical, the chemicals were processed to remove those toxic chemical agents, and then the materials that were left over were non-toxic, and they were disposed of in proper manners at that point.
Hey, let me do a quick left turn here. So this is a couple of minutes behind.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
Let me see if I can get full screen here. Look at that. And so
Nice.
there she is, the Denobula. This is only from, it says 12:28. So, okay, it's over an hour ago. But, I mean, it was just leaving today, about an hour ago. This was on our camera that we set up with StreamTime Live. And their zooming in on the pilot.
Is that the pilot getting on the ship?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. We ought to capture that on the camera.
So all the more reason, you never know what you're going to see on the camera. And so I thought it would be pretty cool to let's see if we can get a better,
to showcase that. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
A little better view here. There we go.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a big ship. Oh, and then of course we get a commercial.
Commercial. I cut that out. That's funny.
Oh, too funny. All right, we'll stop sharing then. See how that works?
All right, so that gives a little bit of perspective of what the Ready Reserve Fleet does. I know that periodically they update their single-page graphic of their assets and where all of the ships are at. So we'll continue to monitor that and see which Ready Reserve Fleet ships end up being moved to the Baltimore region.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I have that map on our website that shows the location of the ships at the different ports in the United States. But like I said, that's from 2017. So if there was something up to date, I wouldn't mind taking a look at that myself. Yeah, so when was that? Oh, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
You and I went to Vane Brothers.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Vane Brothers, I think if you remember a number of episodes back, Vane Brothers was, or we actually advertised for them of a hiring event of jobs and careers that they were hiring for, not only here in the Baltimore market, but in I think Virginia and Philly. So they're national. They're in many different ports, not just in Baltimore.
Right, and I think they have the different localized hiring events.
Yeah.
Right.
So we advertised on their behalf just to say, hey, look, everybody, if you're looking for something within the a job within the maritime industry here locally, this may be an opportunity for you. Well, they were very gracious for thanking us for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They invited us to come out and they interviewed us for their quarterly magazine that they send out about what we're doing here with the podcast and what we're trying to accomplish. So
yeah,
and
we do have Shipwatchers does have a good relationship with them. We toured their facility. I don't know, 3 or 4 times now.
That's right. You had I think a field trip or a tour.
Right. And just so real quickly, if people don't know Vane Brothers, you might see their tugboats. They're green and white. And then I remember when I found out, and it's kind of funny, being in this position, administrator for the Shipwatchers, and people think, hey, don't you know all this stuff? No, I don't know everything. And I remember when I found out, I was like, wait a minute, you guys don't move ships? What do you do? Mm-hmm. What do you do? So for 125 Shipwatcher bonus points, What is bunkering?
Bunkering.
Yes. What is bunkering? And play the Jeopardy theme song in the background. So Vane Brothers, they've been around in Baltimore, headquartered in Baltimore for 125 years. They do bunkering, which is fueling.
Mhm.
They fuel the ships when they come in and they need to be fueled up, like especially the cruise ships. And the cruise ship comes in, people get off the ship, they unload all the trash, they bring in all the food for another week. And meanwhile, on the other side of the ship, water side, they're getting fueled up so that they have enough fuel to last for another week. They also do safety, those life suits, inflatable emergency boats and rafts, food supplies. They do fuel, oils, generators. So they have all kind of they do all kind of stuff. I just wanted to hurry up and quickly cover what they do. So
it almost sounds like a fuel service station, like what you do for your car. You go into a service station. They're actually bringing that service to the ship while it's up at dock.
yeah, I never thought about the analogy of that, but yeah, it's a good point.
And those kinds of services are needed at every port.
Right.
And so that's why they are located and strategically in many of the ports across the U.S.
Right. Yeah, except when the ship sinks and they have these really cool looking canisters, there's just these canisters that sit up on deck, right? And when the ship goes into the water, it triggers the canister to open up and deploys a huge raft. So you don't really have that for your car, but yeah.
No, true. Very true. Very true. Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Sorry.
Yep. So I got a picture here of us. This was right after the interview ended, and they wanted to get Blaze wanted to get some pictures. So this is us out on the balcony of their facility. You can see the Vane Brothers tugs in the background there with the green stripe. You've got one of their barges is in the far left area there, so they get their barge and hook it up, to the tug and push it out to whatever vessel is at port of call that's requested the service. So, so
here I am wearing the same shirt again.
There you go. Yeah. We had a good long hour and a half discussion there.
We did, and they had their intern hang out with us, and so I guess they were both writing down their own independent thoughts and kind of meshed it together afterwards. And I kind of felt bad for her. She probably wanted to get the heck out of there.
It's all right.
And Mike was talking a little bit too much, and
they kept asking more and more questions. So it was clear they were, interested. So I think that they're going to write up that article and published in September timeframe or so.
Sounds cool. Right. Can't wait to see it. So we had talked about this before. The president had said, and I don't know how to frame it, but he had said some things about making some investments in, the American maritime industry.
Yeah.
And then an announcement kind of came out, I guess it was a day or two ago, and highlighting several things, but I just grabbed this one, and I'm just going to read some of this real quick, and then I'll let you start with maybe the analysis.
Sure.
So Cone Cranes. So this is also a company that we buy rubber-tired gantry cranes from.
Correct.
For Seagirt. So these are these cranes, and it just looks almost like a frame of a giant box. So just 4 legs and a top and 4 wheels, but they can grab the containers. They can roll over. How do we show? They can roll over a container, grab it, pick it up, and then roll away and take it somewhere. So Cone Cranes, a Finnish-based port equipment manufacturer, is announcing its plans to establish and grow a consortium of U.S. partners, including steel structure providers and other manufacturers to build ship-to-shore cranes in the United States. So, for another 125 Shipwatcher bonus points, what is a ship-to-shore crane? So that's what we call the cranes that actually lift the containers off of the ships and put them on the trucks and then distribute them. Cone Cranes is committed to growing its workforce in the United States as demand for cranes produced by trusted vendors increases. Cone Cranes estimates that every ship-to-shore crane built in the United States will require the production of 1,500 tons of U.S.-made steel and over 100,000 labor hours for the whole value chain. So that seems to be I would like to think this is a commitment. I guess that's a good word. But that's adding a lot of industry to the United States. And to be able to build some of these cranes here, where just about all of them are imported by every port from a foreign manufacturer, that would be a pretty cool game. That'd be a game changer. Hopefully.
All right, so here's a couple of things related to this. Let's put this in perspective. And I know that
hit me with the deets.
Yeah, and I know that there has been some concern from within this sector of the industry. All right, so ZMPC is a Chinese crane firm that manufactures these ship-to-shore cranes. And the Port of Baltimore has two sets of these. Those are the white cranes that are at berth 3 and 4 at Seagirt.
Yes, we do.
So we have some of those cranes here. ZMPC has 80% of the worldwide market share in ship-to-shore cranes. All right, so they're kind of the I would say industry leader based on the market share and some of this is because we don't have a lot of other manufacturers that can compete. Probably one of the other companies is Cone Cranes, this Finnish company that you just announced. They've actually got a footprint here in the U.S., even though they're based in Finland. And so they have 3 crane manufacturing facilities, and they currently employ about 2,200 employees. And this announcement that the White House sent out, is expecting that they're going to be manufacturing these ship-to-shore cranes also and ramping up here in the U.S. And those plants are in Ohio, Virginia, and Wisconsin. So why is all of this happening? Well, if you think about the steel side of the equation, after Bethlehem Steel left the U.S., we do have steel manufacturing here in the U.S., but it's in very, very small chunks and maybe very specialized solutions that are needed. Very soon, we're going to see steel production back at the old steel mill plant in that property at Trade Point Atlantic. Sparrows Point Steel will be starting up here very shortly in response to the offshore wind industry building the monopods, and steel roll forming production will take place out there. But that's a very specialized model. That's the reason why I explained that.
Right. So not ready to do everything.
Yeah, and so there is no there's not a high volume of steel production that's ready to go turnkey right this minute. All right, now from the crane perspective, so ZMPC has got a very large market share of crane production. Back a number of years ago, there was some concern about electronics that were installed in some of the housing control buildings on the cranes, and what that technology could do. And you can go back and do the research. There were claims that there was it was a means or method to look at cyber-related threats or cyber snooping or things like that. The company came back and said, no, this is part of the ability to service the cranes allows the company to dial in to do service repairs and upgrades with the technology that exists. Okay, so we've got this potential, this concern or issue.
Mm-hmm.
President Biden here recently put a 25% tariff on Chinese-made cranes in order to go and protect the U.S. interest in the U.S. market of crane manufacturing. So what does that mean? That means that the ZMPC is not paying this tariff that we've assessed. That tariff is being paid by the U.S.
Each port that buys a crane.
Correct. So if you want one of these ZMPC cranes, you're going to have to pay a 25% duty on the value of that crane once you import. So now all of a sudden, this crane is going to cost 25% more.
And I think the last set cost Baltimore $40 million. I think it was $10 million a crane. So now it's going to be 50.
Correct. Okay, and
which is crazy ironic. I mean, I'm a true confessions. I'm a protectionist guy. I live in America. I want to protect United jobs in the United States. I believe in that. But when you don't have a source to buy from,
correct.
There is a bit of an irony there. I'm not saying one way or another. I'm just pointing it out as a discussion point.
It's a matter of fact. So then it becomes a business decision. If I am a port operator,
yes,
and I need to go buy a ship to shore crane, am I going to buy one that is, before the tariffs? Am I going to buy one that's a cheaper price, maybe a cheaper quality product because there are some concerns about the steel quality that is used within Chinese manufacturing? Then you can go that route and you can get your crane quicker, or you can wait for a little bit for the U.S. industry to be ramped up to be able to meet that demand. It's going to be a higher quality steel that's being used. It is going to cost a little bit more because we're using U.S. labor to go and make these cranes versus Chinese labor. But that price difference between the 25% tariff that's assessed with the international products based on the domestic, it should be about even, which would entice us to go and purchase within the U.S. So that's how tariffs are really designed to operate, and that's what's happening here.
So that would be the goal, that they would be close to even.
Correct.
In theory.
And then you would look at, okay, what do I want to do? Is my business strategy to buy U.S.? Is my business strategy to buy a better quality steel? Is my business decision to support the national labor movement here in the U.S.? You have a lot of, even though the price may be very similar, it could be that the shipping time is actually shorter, because if we buy a crane that's possibly being manufactured in Virginia versus China, some of the transportation costs will be less because of this. So now we're looking at landed costs or total costs to make this decision, and where do we want to put our investment in.
And I mean, I've seen both. When we talk about, and there's always somebody who says something like, "Oh, well, we used to do that here," or Bethlehem Steel used to be right across the way, and all that is true. I just prefer to stick to positives. And to me, honestly, I mean, my stepdad and friends worked at Bethlehem Steel, right? So, but I'd rather stick to positive and talking about what we have now. But then when you bring up to somebody, okay, well, where did you buy those cranes? Well, we bought them from China. Well, how much would they be if we'd have bought them here?
Correct.
Before the tariff, right? So if they were 60 million, is your state or port budget really going to absorb whatever? I'm just using round numbers. I don't have these figures in my head. a 25 or 50% cost hit, and then people would be complaining about that. Well, why didn't you buy it where it was cheaper? Well, why didn't you buy it made by, a company in the United States? So I think which way you go, there's going to be somebody that's not going to be happy.
And so that's why there is a focus of, hey, there may be an issue. Let's see if we can't try to improve the process. These things don't happen overnight.
Right. And I'm super excited. I am super excited about, oh my gosh, can you imagine there's one company that does ship to shore cranes, right? And they finally spin up, and then they finally get, the steel made, they get it designed, the orders are finally coming in, and then, oh my gosh, you guys need to build another facility because we've got so many orders coming in that we can't even get them out fast enough. I mean, that's the story that I'm looking forward to.
Sure. They've actually started to communicate within some of the pressers over the past 24 hours to state that we've already got some verbal commitments and expect, I want to say the number was like 60 or 80 cranes that are already kind of verbal commitment to
what?
Yeah,
really,
for upgrades around the nation to have more cranes brought in.
Can we detail that up? Do we have that in writing? Or, I mean, it doesn't have to be today. Can we cover that next week? Can we put that on our crack research team of me, you, and you and I, and
and
whoever else can help us
in the podcast production department?
Podcast production.
So we've got some opportunity here for further U.S. investment in steel manufacturing and aligning with bringing this industry back into the U.S. So that is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
There is a Key Bridge demolition meeting tonight. Saw a presser for. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, I do. I grabbed some of that. So, and it's interesting the naming and the titles and how things work. So, the Maryland Transportation Authority, who owns the bridge, requested a tidal wetlands license and a water quality certification. Those are two things that I wasn't familiar with.
Okay.
This will allow crews to demolish the remaining structure of the Key Bridge. So, obviously, two formal steps to be able to actually start doing the work of demolishing what's remaining of the Key Bridge. The ramps that are still standing are what the crews are targeting, and you and I discussed they can't be used for the new bridge, so they have to come down. Mechanical demolition and blasting will be used to also remove 16 in-water piers. So, like we had talked about several podcasts ago, from one of my industry sources, a guy who worked on the 301 bridge. He talked about they like go down underwater, maybe this is what they did down there, put a giant diamond cutting saw and like remove the piers just above the mud line, which is, wow. I had no idea how they did that. The remaining pieces will go out on a barge and be moved out of the Patapsco. This is tonight. So I don't know if this podcast is going to get out there. So the meeting tonight, Thursday night, 4:30 p.m. at the North Point Branch Public Library in Dundalk. So demolition is scheduled to start this summer. So I mean that's in a month or summer or fall, and is expected to take 10 months to complete. Wow, did we know that before? 10 months?
I didn't know. I didn't have a date specific, but
That seems like a long time.
It does, but let's think about this. You've got two approaching spans you've got to bring down. You're going to have
I got you.
you got to remove everything that's underneath the water, and then start preparing the approaches for whatever the break is that's needed for the new bridge.
Right, and that's what makes it seem so long to me, because we have this bridge that we've said is going to be done in just over 4 years. And so, I mean, like you and I talked about before, how much of the planning and the cooperation and the dance between the demolition and what the new company that's going to be building, and they're going to be, at some point, I would imagine they're going to be occupying the same space, or will they really just wait until this is totally done? I mean, it's just conjecture at this point on my point, but it's
I want
interesting to talk about.
I wonder if that is a conservative time frame.
Ah,
I wonder if that's kind of to say, hey, look, it could take up to that point. And I wonder if it does get done quicker.
let's go ahead and say 10. Then when it comes in at 8 or 9, everybody will be happy.
Yeah. Plus, also,
yeah.
this whole process is still very fluid. So this
Yes.
is in conjunction with the build out and the procurement for the build out, and having to start and do these processes together. So there, it may ebb and flow because of that also.
Now, maybe some contractors have, I mean, they would have to, right? You would have to do a quick, detailed design. That seems contradictory, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to do a quick, detailed design to be able to bid for it. But it's different because you're not bidding with a monetary amount. You're just proving that you can.
Correct.
Which is a different way of thinking. It really is kind of, it's like, what? Wait a minute. I mean, I knew that, but when I hear myself say it, it even sounds odd.
Sure.
And then the bridge replacement design is still in the works, right? So,
Correct.
But that's why I wanted to say that somewhere somebody has a semi-detailed design that they had to come up with in order to respond to this request for proposal.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not fully detailed, but we know about the 4-foot inside shoulder, the two lanes each way, the 10-foot outside shoulder, the preference by the state and for a cable stay bridge built on the exact center line. We know all these numbers that we talked about last week. And we know about the goal to open the bridge by October of 2028. Wow, that'd be so cool to see.
Yep.
I mean, we know we'll see it, but right now it's so far off in the distance.
Yep.
So I thought this was interesting. Just this past week, the 30th, 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yeah.
2 days ago, the first span of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge opened to traffic. So July 30th, 1952.
Wow. That's the 2-laner.
Yes, the original span. The other one opened in 73. And so when I was a kid and you're going to Ocean City or you're coming back, and there's only one lane each way. And it used to get so bad that they would run like a police car or tow truck, whatever they had, to clear the oncoming traffic, and then they would stop everybody like at Sandy Point, and the traffic would just back up for miles and make it one way, 2 lanes coming back from Ocean City.
Wow.
Right. They would just stop traffic from going to the Eastern Shore, like on a Sunday night, and just run it 2 lanes one way.
Interesting.
So I could remember it must have been 50 years ago. I'm probably 6, 7, 8 years old. And, I can remember seeing the emergency vehicle with the flashers going the other way because they're basically clearing it so that they can allow, while we were sitting in traffic waiting you know.
So they've been having to deal with this volume in lane switching for many, many, many years.
Right,
This isn't new. Yeah.
right. So, and especially since we were talking about the height of the new Key Bridge, how they've decided to go from like 180, 185 to like 230, and how I kept saying, you know, why would you want to pin your port into a height restriction that was designed in the 40s, and then pin your port into that design for another 100 years? And so this kind of sets it. You know, this first bridge was opened in 1952, just this week, right? So anyway,
Sure. John Brown. There's been some couple of things in the news with the John Brown.
yeah, those guys are busy down there. And when they first got down there, they were posting pictures and telling us a lot of details about what was going on and what plans they had and what needed to be replaced and drained and cleaned and painted and just a lot of stuff. And so I think they've been so busy down there they haven't posted in a week. So
Yeah.
yeah, you have some updates, right?
So they did post an update a couple of days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and as I pull up some pictures here.
Oh, cool.
So this is some of the pictures they posted that they found some hull corrosion
Right.
during their cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
and they think it's due to electrolysis.
Right.
And so because of this, they have to get it fixed and ready to go. So they can't not fix it and then get back into the water and then sink. So they got to go get this thing repaired. But these extra problems that they did find requires extra funding and extra dry dock time. They didn't really specify how much more time it's going to take, but they did say that the extra cost, they are already figuring that it's going to be in a 6-figure range for pricing.
Ouch.
That's on top of everything else that they've done. So they're going to have to be doing some extra fundraising.
Okay.
Wanted to show
what can we do?
There's a couple of pictures here that this is on the underside in the dry dock.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the areas that they have to cut out and re-weld in, repaint. You can see on this picture here, you've got, I don't know if you can see
you can see all the little patches.
Yeah, you can see all the little patches up and down the side, and you have to go and get all of those rivets patched because this is a riveted hull. And then so that's some of the other work that they do that they had to be done. This is a little close-up shot. Very intricate, very detailed information. Get that one hole plugged, filled. It's got to sit there and cure, and then you can go back through and clean, paint, put the coating on it to secure it. So it's it's a good bit of work that's going on. It's still going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're now going to have to do some more fundraising to pay that bill.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we give a shout out to the John Brown and help them with that. If there's anybody who's can help and support, reach out to the John Brown. We'll put the website address on the screen here for you to go to. There's also a Facebook page. So facebook.com/SS John W. Brown. It goes right straight to their page. You can see some more of these pictures. And, I would imagine they're going to be posting some information on fundraisers and how you might be able to donate here pretty shortly, because I know that they're going to have to pay that bill. So.
Okay. What do you think if I put up the website and just showed everybody?
Yeah,
what do you
sure.
think of that?
Sounds great.
So let me try to see if I can do that real quick here. Just kind of on the fly here.
Make a cut at minute 48.
Yeah. Okay. So here we are. This is ssjohnwbrown.org.
Okay.
Okay. So this is their homepage. If you go to Keep Her Sailing, if you would like to help out, go to Keep Her Sailing donations, and there's quite a bit of information here. Let me see. So right here, you scroll down. There's a donate now to the 2024 Dry Dock Fund. I haven't spoken with anybody from the Brown, but I would think this would be appropriate. And then you get to this form, and you want to give, one-time donation, and then Visa, MasterCard, Amex, PayPal, Venmo, bank account, whatever.
They give you every option to donate.
They're set up to so that any way that you would like to be able to help.
Here, scroll down just a little bit.
Sure.
I like something here. Go back up. There you go. You see where it says, if you donate $50, it buys a one-way motor coach transport for the crew. So remember, this is an all-volunteer crew. And if they're going down, if they're volunteering to take this ship down to dry dock, they're not hanging out for months, weeks and months down there waiting for the ship to be released. They had to come back up and live their normal lives of whatever it is that they do.
Right.
There's a cost associated with everything involved with this. So it could be that, they got meals for the crew. Well, everybody has to eat, during the day, not only on the ship, but while they're moving back and forth. And then you've got, I thought it was interesting. It says $250 buys one barrel of fuel, and that doesn't go that very far. So it's important to realize that it might be every little bit helps. If I donate $50, it's going to help. But there are significant costs in order to keep this ship in operation.
And I think it's great that they've put a little detail next to each number so that you can really get a feel for what you're buying.
Right.
I mean, remember when we did our Trade Point Atlantic tour, and when we first talked about it, and they said, okay, we can do a tour, but you're going to have to rent the bus. And the bus was $800 just to drive around Trade Point Atlantic. Now imagine a full-size bus with 47, seats for 47 people, and you're going to Norfolk and back.
Right.
How much is that?
Yeah. And that is just day-to-day stuff. That's not even the actual repairs. And now there's some other issues that have to be addressed. So.
Right. So, just wanted to show that, try to help them out, do whatever we can do to help them out and show you how easy it is to donate if you would like to help out. Yeah, so I'm glad we covered that so we could help them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That all we have for today? I think that might be it,
I think that's it for today.
So, and as we get to the end here, just a little behind the scenes, every week, Kipp and I are, we both have jobs, we both have families, and so we try to come up with, we don't write out word for word, but we try to come up with a plan, what we want to talk about. And sometimes I feel that I'm just like throwing stuff together, flying by the seat of my pants. Okay. And then we go to hit the record button and Kipp says, "You ready?" And I'm like, no, I'm not ready. And it seems like at those days when we actually get like a compliment or whatever, "Oh, this was so informative. Thanks so much for the podcast." So you just never know what's going to reach people, what people are going to be interested in. So we try to come up with something interesting every week. And we hope you like it.
Absolutely, and the feedback is good. If there's something that you like, or if there are certain topics that you appreciate, let us know.
We haven't taken suggestions. We haven't talked about suggestions for a while.
So if there are suggestions or things or questions that you don't know or answers to, then we can try to go and research some of that. If there's constructive criticism, perfectly fine with that.
Not really. No.
Be kind in the process, though, because this is we're doing this to try to really help share the right information and have some of the meaningful conversations so that everybody is educated in the process and know what's in and around and what's most important about the Port of Baltimore. So
yeah. So one little reminder about one suggestion that I got from my son, and I feel like it's almost too late, and we should have done it weeks ago. The story about the Chesapeake 1000, the big crane that was here that had the big mechanical grab that was pulling stuff off the bottom, and the one that was hauling the giant chunks of truss that were 400 and 700 tons, right? So this is a 1,000-ton crane, the Chesapeake 1000. Remember, it started out as the Sun 800, built to lift a Russian sub off the ocean floor. So there's a fascinating backstory to that we should
maybe
cover
we should
one day.
Do a little research on it.
Yeah, I think there's a book. Oh, there's a book about it.
Oh, okay.
And there was a guy on the Facebook group, and he said, "Oh, you should read the book." And I said, "Oh, do you want to come on the podcast and talk about it?" Silence. Didn't hear a thing after that. So
okay,
we'll have to do our own research, or we'll have to figure that out. So as we close, don't forget we're Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. We are a Facebook group. We have a website full of all kind of information to do with a port, access to the live stream camera, this podcast, ship schedules, port maps, all kinds of things. We're also on Twix. Shout out Amy Lawrence, ALL Radio. We're also on Instagram. So Twix, Instagram, and YouTube as Balto Ches. So if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, where is it? Subscribe, hit the bell to be alerted by new podcasts as they come available.
And if you want to listen to the audio version of this, you can listen to it on Spotify and Apple iTunes. So.
Yep, and I get those notifications. So once you find a way to listen that you like, hit subscribe, and then you're like, oh, they came up with a new podcast. I mean, because you basically do the processing, so I'm always still surprised when it comes. I'm
glad
it's ready.
I'm glad that you have subscribed and you get the ding notification.
Right, and then here's the weird thing. Then I watch it. Like we just recorded. Why am I watching myself? I have no idea. Okay. Anyway. All right. So thanks so much, everyone. I guess we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
3.
We're going to try it?
Yeah, let's just do it. 3, 2, 1. Happy
ship watching.
There you go.
Wow, that sounded pretty good.
That's all right.
All right.
All right, everybody. Have a
good next week.